Welcome to Unsilent with your hosts Dave and Brian. This is not another current events podcast. We are digging deeper, diagnosing, and discussing what's really going on today, how we got here, and providing observations for future generations.
Welcome to Unsilent. We're Brian and Dave. We'd love to hear where you think we got it right, where we got it wrong, and someplace in between. Maybe there's some of that. You can do that by leaving us a comment on unsilentpodcast.com, on Rumble, or on various social media channels where America comes together to share the love. And speaking of sharing the love, Brian, we haven't been together for a little while now, but there's been a few things happening in the world. The world hasn't stayed still. I don't know why. I don't know. Nobody got the memo that we were taking a couple weeks off, but they don't seem to have, and continues to go on with things. So
there's no shortage of daily events that are, again, 10 years ago would have been, each one would have lasted weeks and weeks in the news cycle, and now they're just like multiple a day, and they just blaze through.
Exactly. Another day, another who knows what, another shooting, another, oh my gosh, craziness.
Yeah. So I was thinking last night, this really kind of, as you and I are recording this, the State of the Union address for 2026 was last night. And there was something that happened, not at the State of the Union, but at the anti-State of the Union. I don't know if you saw any videos of that event.
A couple of clips. Yeah.
See the inflatable frog costumes and all that.
I heard about that. I didn't see the actual. I heard about the frog thing. Yeah. What's the deal with that?
Let me pull this up. So, but before that though, in all fairness, something happened a couple weeks ago. I think since I've seen you last, Pam Bondi had to go testify in front of Congress about the Epstein stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she made this just bizarro comment. Like they were asking about the Epstein stuff, and essentially, I guess the gist of it was like, well, why are there no arrests yet or anything like that? Yeah. And her response was, "But the Dow's at 50,000. That's what we should be talking about." And I was like, I mean, I get when you're in front of Congress and they're asking questions you don't want an answer, you got to deflect. Like you and I talked about this during the whole thing when Tulsi Gabbard was trying to get her DNI office last year. Like I get the show. I get that part, but that just felt really weird. Like, why? What? Okay, and if I was sitting there, I would be like, okay, help me understand why the Dow at 50,000 or 100,000 or 27,000. Why that should be our focus, not hundreds, thousands, whatever, of children who have been, now as the emails have come out, like sexually abused, perhaps eaten, like buried alive, like all just the worst things you could possibly think about. And she says, yeah, but we should be talking about the Dow's at 50,000. Like when that happened, I was like, we are in unserious times. Like this is in a world where we're just waiting for one catastrophe after another. Like the economy is the K-shaped economy, and we can't agree on whether or not we should even have borders. Like there's massive problems going on, and she's like, it's like an unserious person talking about it. And then last night, the counter of that was this thing I'll show you here, Dave. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating that. This is legit one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. There's some audio here. I don't know if it really contributes to anything, but I'll go ahead and play it. But this is the anti-Trump. This is the anti-State of the Union. So there's like 70 Congress people who boycotted the State of the Union address. This is the event they had. Like this is the known. Like this is the event. This is not like a parody of the event. This is the event that they had to protest Trump.
I'm a mother. I am a physician, and I have a flag. And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Portland Frog Brigade.
Portland Frog Brigade.
Later, later they had a dude come out like in a Tony the Tiger costume or something. Dave, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've
Well,
never seen
Brian,
anything.
what's wrong with you? I mean, doesn't that convince you that they're right? I mean, they get the Portland Frog Brigade. I mean, this is like the Navy SEALs or I. Oh my gosh!
Okay, so you are in the marketing and messaging business. This is your wheelhouse. What is the message they are sending or trying to send here? This is a legit question. I'm not. This is not a what do you call the questions? Rhetorical question.
Yeah,
Legit. Like, what is the message they're trying to send here?
I haven't got the slightest idea. I mean, I just can't understand. Yeah, it's just. I hadn't actually seen that picture yet. I'd heard something that there was this frog thing. I thought it was some kind of like side deal or something, and
No,
they've got the Portland Frog Brigade, and that's what's standing between us and the authoritarian project. I mean, I don't know about you, Brian, but I feel like we're a lot farther away from authoritarianism since we have the Frog Brigade on our side. I mean, clearly
I
they.
feel like in a country where you can have a frog brigade poking the dictator, you're probably in a pretty safe place.
Where was the Frog Brigade in the 1930s and 40s? I mean, that would have stopped Hitler in his tracks. I mean,
Well, we just weren't that smart back then. We've evolved so much, Dave. We are so much smart. So okay, so you have these cartoonish people here, and then you got similarly cartoonish people dismissing these horrible, horrific
yeah. Oh,
crimes,
yeah. Yeah.
and like, yeah, but look at the Dow, like who can't like, okay, what in the hell, Dave? Like, like it's almost like it's 1998, and then the problems of the world aren't that substantial. I mean, relative to now, they was a great times. Now we, in the moment, we thought we had real problems in 1998, but if you go back, if you go forward almost 30 years, like
Sure.
those problems pale in comparison. This might be appropriate back then, but it's not
Well,
appropriate now.
okay, so let's see. Maybe it's this. I heard since we met last, President Obama came out and said the aliens are real, and
Yep.
President Trump came out and said, okay, let's declassify everything because it's very interesting. So maybe what we're trying to do here is we're trying to convince the aliens to leave because we're just not worth spending any time on because we run our politics with the Frog Brigade and with a focus away from actual human evil because our stock market's doing pretty good. So this is the only I am literally I have no idea. I mean, there's who comes up with this stuff? It just makes no sense.
It's a committee, so it's not a person. A series of people had to like draw this up and like run
Series
it
of
by
people that are
people and
theories
approve it.
that should be
And
smart. These are supposed to be these are supposed to be strategists, political strategists, the best and the brightest among us. I on one hand, so Pam Bondi. Okay, let me try and explain what I think is going on with Pam Bondi. She might not be the smartest um, person in the Trump cabinet. I don't think she necessarily is. I think there is sort of an operating system line in the Trump cabinet that says whenever anything negative comes up, you have to say something positive about Trump. I think there's that kind of dynamic that's going on there. That if somebody says, well, this is bad or this could reflect badly on Trump, come up with something positive to say about Trump. Now, the person that does this the best, the absolute best is Marco Rubio. I mean, so
yeah,
Marco, because he is a truly brilliant fellow. I'm a huge fan of Marco Rubio. And he always comes up with, well, this president did this, and everything he says, in my mind, is very plausible, is logical, and makes sense. I think Pam Bondi was probably caught off guard. Well, I don't. How could she be? I mean, she's supposed to be the bloody AG.
I, I guess I could see a scenario where that's the case. It just feels to me like the Epstein thing is just an area they just don't want to get into.
Well,
And there's
clearly,
probably a variety of reasons for that. I can't believe it would be a smarts thing. I can't believe it'd be an intelligence limitation. It's like it's an edict from coming from somewhere that we're just not going to do that. Like
yeah,
they flat out said there's like 3 million files. We're never going to disclose those. It's too
yeah.
too dangerous to national security. And other folks have said, if this stuff came out, it would be the end of our system. And like, okay,
Well,
well,
that's the only possible conclusion. I mean, it's literal. But then, given the counterbalance of the smart people on the other side bringing out the Frog Brigade, maybe everybody is just that stupid. I mean, really?
they're certainly not interested in actually solving the big problems. And I think
No.
that maybe is part of the
Well,
the
that's clear.
the fourth turning, like, mechanism, like that like this is how it works. Like, the problems get so big and so severe and so complicated that you have people who are megalomaniacs and narcissists and attention seekers and things like that, and maybe have not, by and large, done a whole lot with their life. You have a handful of people in there who built businesses and things like that, but
Sure.
in large part, these are folks that they got a poli-sci degree and they got into politics, and like, this is their life. We have people who've been in Congress longer than, like, I've been alive, and pretty close
Sure.
to longer than you've been alive.
Oh yeah, it's true. No, it's true. No, I think that's true, and I think we are at the point where it's just so the problems they've got to be so intractable and so impossible to really address that any distraction is acceptable in order to get past them. I don't think there's any other.
So I'm gonna ask this in a slightly different way. I'm gonna throw you a couple of possibilities. Is the Frog Brigade, are they mocking Trump? Like, he's such a cartoonish character, like this is our version. Like, he's such a cartoonish kind of guy. Like, he's so unserious. This is our version of being unserious, or is it like just a thumb in the eye kind of thing? Like, the optics of this are just, I can't imagine who they're talking to that's compelled by this.
Well, no, I don't think they could be mocking him, because if they were mocking him, there would have to be some kind of have to be some kind of
Effigy or
indication
something.
of that. There'd have to be some kind of, well, here's the gotcha. You shouldn't have to, if for a mocking thing to work, it can't be something where you and I can't figure it out. It's got to
Yeah.
be, it can't be something that's hard to explain, in other words.
Yeah, a good joke is one you don't have to explain. It's like one of the fundamental rules of a good joke is you shouldn't have to
Exactly.
explain it. Yeah.
Exactly. It can't be hard to explain. And so either they're just stupid, or, I mean, I can't come up with any other conclusion, because it's just dumb. They're just stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't define strategy.
And I won't spend a whole lot of time in the State of the Union, because obviously that's something people can, like, go back in time and look at. And Dave and I are trying to talk to future generations, explaining what this time was like. So we don't get into things that are easily Googleable, I guess, where you can go find video for it. But um, uh, 70 of the Congress people, like, boycotted,
Yes.
including one of my senators. And again, what are the optics of that? Because the number of comments I saw from people knowing that they were going to protest this thing was like, well, how would that work if it was my job? That was a thing I heard over and over and over again or saw online, like that kind of theme of like, well, how would that work if I just decided I was gonna boycott, like I was just gonna
Yeah.
protest or whatever.
Yeah.
And you and I talked in roundabout ways about how disconnected from reality these folks seem to be, but like, man, it's on, like, full display. Like,
Yeah.
it's not hyperbole. It's not an abstract notion. They really are just in a completely different world than reality, or quote unquote regular Americans.
Well, the Democrats have a poor track record when it comes to Trump in the State of the Unions, right? Because, I mean, who was it who got escorted out again?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Whatever
I'm
is
typing out.
well, and see,
Yeah.
again, it's so ineffective that, the guy got escorted out again. Whoop-de-doo. So, I mean,
Yeah.
their track record with regard to Trump and State of the Unions is they just don't know what to do. They literally do not know what to do with the man, and so I think they're just flailing. I mean, I just see them when Ilhan Omar is yelling at Trump and is calling him a murderer in the middle of the State of the Union. I mean, Trump loves that. I mean, he played them so hard last night. The thing that may or may not be apparent to history. I mean, if anybody in history decides to go back and watch an hour and 45 minutes worth of State of the Union address, which which
horrible speeches.
is probably not going to happen. I think one of the things they'll come away with is he played them. So, I mean, especially
Absolutely.
that one long standing ovation when he had them, and I was. It kept going and the clapping kept going
Yeah.
and going. And I almost felt bad for the Democrats sitting there because I know the whole time they were just being eaten up inside, by how bad that looked.
You would think, but remember last year though, when that kid with cancer, it was like a 10-year old
Same.
kid had
Yeah.
cancer,
Yeah.
and he mentioned his name, and all the Republicans stand up and all of that. And by the way, I'm less in love with the Republican Party every week. Like every week you and I
Sure.
get together, I'm more
Yeah.
disgusted and disappointed by the lot of them. Like
Sure.
it feels more and more like the Uniparty to me all the time. So
Yep.
it's not a partisan thing so
Right.
much, but so last year the kid with cancer, they don't stand up for that, and they just get crucified for that for
Yeah.
months. That went on about you guys wouldn't even stand for a kid with cancer, right?
Right.
Then last night he does the hockey team, and there was a small cohort that didn't stand for that even.
Right.
Most of them did.
Yep.
But then he just like you could see this trap coming a mile away.
Oh yeah.
And he's still dangling the little breadcrumbs, taking them down the path, and they just bite hook, line, and sinker. Like, how could there not be anybody who goes, you know what? This is gonna look too bad. I'm standing up.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah.
If you don't believe, or if you believe that your role is to represent American citizens over illegal aliens, stand up. That was some version of the line, right?
Yeah. That's so
And they
easy.
just sit there looking like dopes. I don't get it.
I know it's so easy. Well, it's just, I mean, it is certainly, well, okay, so here's what it is. Um, Back in Rush Limbaugh's days in the 90s when Bill Clinton used to do his State of the Unions, Rush Limbaugh called him the State of the Union show. Not the
Yeah.
State of the Union address. And I got to thinking about that last night. So all that there really were these shows going on. There was a show
Yep.
for the Republicans. There was a show for Trump. There was a show for the Democrats. So the Democrats sitting down for, that very simple question, which your average independent, your average, normal, Joe Sixpack American says, yeah, we should stand up for me, not for the, they were sitting down for their base. They were doing their show for their base. Whereas
Yep.
the Republicans and Trump were doing the Trump show, and the folks that are way out there in the Frog show, they were doing their show. So it's just, three different shows, Netflix and Prime or Amazon Prime and Hulu. That's all that's all that we have left is just shows. That's it.
Yeah. Nothing of substance.
Nothing of
Although, while they appear to be these toddlers tantruming in their own ways, again, this is not both parties. Not one is immune to this. While they're on the surface tantruming like toddlers, under the surface, there's deep, dark things happening.
Oh,
Like
there's awful
insider
stuff. Yes.
trading, and there's who knows what this Epstein thing's all about, and there's ill-gotten money and fraud and like just like there's real maniacal things happening under the
Sure.
surface at the same time with the same people. It's really odd to watch.
Well, yeah, and that's the tragedy of all of this is if everything was just fine and dandy, and the worst thing we had,
Frog show then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's the dog catcher is having an affair with the city council member. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So how do your stuff, right? But the reality is that we're on the verge of war again in with Iran. You've got the Russia war. You've got go all over the world. You've got people shooting up schools in places where you're not even supposed to have guns. Yeah, one thing after another globally, the human race is got all sorts of crap happening, and all we do instead of really getting together and saying, a government and parties that were serious about that had the level of seriousness that reflected the level of seriousness of our problems would come together and would say, look, I think your solution is wrong. You think my solution is wrong. But man, these things are so deep. We got to figure something out. We just got to get over ourselves. We got to get over our YouTube feeds and our electioneering. We got to start trying to solve some of these things because there's an asteroid going to hit the earth any day now kind of thing, but that doesn't happen, which again, yes, it says that we are in a time and in a space in human history that uh things are things are just are collapsing. I mean, they're just kind of
Yeah.
collapsing. And the only way they're not going to, and this, of course, it's a fourth turning thing. The only way they're not going to collapse, we're not going to fix it, we're not going to solve it. There's going to be some level of collapse. Hopefully, it's not too bad. And then we're going to come to our senses hopefully, before it's too late, before we, end up destroying ourselves and reshuffle society in some way that makes us survive for another 100 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been listening to this podcast series on the Roman Empire, and it starts in 750 BC, and I'm up to about 300 or 200 AD or something like that. And there's different cycles there. I don't know if they're like fourth turning kind of cycles. I'm not a historian or demographer enough to understand that era, but um, interesting parallels. One of them is deflating the currency.
Mm-hmm.
So these emperors and Caesars and all this stuff would come in, and they would they would pay the troops essentially. Well, they paid the troops by just inflating the currency.
Right.
I think I heard that one year they had 15,000% inflation or something
Oh,
like
my
that.
word.
It was a
Wow.
crazy number, right? So that's part of why what led to their problems. But also the part I'm on now is their republic has changed from people being loyal to the Roman state to independent individual generals.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a time where the generals stopped serving the state and started serving themselves, and so they would Pompey had his own army. That's why
Right.
he was a guy, and like
Yep.
Julius Caesar had his own army, and
Yep.
and so the troops and the citizens became loyal to individuals. And I was thinking about that. Okay, we don't have a parallel today. Like nobody has a private army, but they have private media companies,
Sure.
which if you believe the saying the pen is mightier than the sword, um, I would argue that it's a different modality, but it's the same
Power.
it's the same power
Yeah.
wielding, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's other things that happen later on with like their border and things like that
Yeah.
became their border became porous, and that was another thing. But um, really interesting to compare that era with the armies with the current era of media companies. Again, it's about power. It's not about whether the fear of death by sword or the fear of being canceled for having the wrong public opinion. Like I would argue it's similar. It's not the same, but it's similar. Um, but it just feels like this is how we operate. When things get really, really bad, we just start keeping ourselves occupied with um, not very serious topics.
Yeah, bread and circuses, right? The old,
Yeah,
keep everybody occupied with
yeah,
bread and circuses. Keep it, and therefore they're not going to realize all the things that are happening around them and take action on them. And
yeah,
also the thing that both parties do is the keep it's amped up so high that there's no chance to really consider deeply, this problem or that problem or the other problem. It's just, it's
right.
just the noise level, the volume is just too high and all of that.
And I would be willing to bet if you asked, a million average Americans, do you think the people in government, Congress, or the bureaucrats are really looking out for your interests or their own interests? I don't think that answer would
That
be
wouldn't go well.
good. It would
No,
not go well,
no,
right? Which
no,
is
it wouldn't.
again the same thing that happened back then. So speaking of wars, I kind of sort of tune into the Iran thing. I mean, it's I can only handle so much negativity in a day, so I tend to not pay attention to the news too much. But what last I heard, we had bombed and we were celebrating. We had crushed their nuclear program. Like we were high fiving about how we did it without a single boot on the ground, and flew guys from Missouri halfway around the world, destroyed their nuclear program, came home and victory laps and high fives. And now I'm hearing they have a nuclear program again. So what the hell's going on there, Dave? I don't understand it.
Well, there's another one that I find difficult to really wrap up because we have the greatest military buildup in the Middle East since the Gulf Wars. So, I mean, we've got the Ford there in the Lincoln. The Ford is the biggest ship, the biggest aircraft carrier ever built by humans. It's a sophisticated war machine. We've got the Lincoln there. We've got two aircraft carriers in the region, and Iran says in the face of that. Now we're going to keep doing our civilian nuclear program, and we don't really have any interest and none of that makes sense on either side. So Trump ostensibly was going there to support the protesters. Okay, so the whole big thing a couple of months ago was protesters, I got your back. Right. And then he claimed last night that he, diffused a bunch of hangings, but then he said that they killed tens of thousands of people. I don't really understand how that math works. Okay, they didn't kill the ones you didn't want them to kill, but they killed a bunch of others. So and we've got this big buildup, and Iran says that they're resisting Trump for some reason for a program that was bombed out, and there's no indication that they're on the verge of nukes again, and so I don't know. I mean, this entire podcast, Brian, is me saying I don't know, because
you're the voice of reason of the two of us here. So
I know.
What are we supposed to do?
I know it. It's just the strangest thing, because I don't see a reason for this massive buildup unless for some reason Trump has decided that he wants to occupy the place. The last thing he said he wants to do is to occupy the place. We haven't. So just take one aircraft carrier. The Ford was in the Gulf of America. I almost said Gulf of Mexico. The Ford was near, where it was near Mexico. We could have just taken Cuba and called it a day. Why didn't we do that? That would have been easy enough. So the whole, and I kind of pride myself on my understanding of foreign policy, and I kind of keep up with this stuff, and I'm not really getting what this whole massive buildup is really about. Because one, we could bomb them into the Stone Ages again with one aircraft carrier. It doesn't take two.
Now, or fly planes from Missouri again.
Well, you fly planes from Missouri, and of course the Brits are upset with us. They won't let us land in their territory to go there and bomb. So again, I don't know. It just is the strangest time in foreign policy as well. And we haven't, and we still have not dealt with sort of the Ukraine thing is on the back burner now. We haven't heard much about that. I mean, he talked about it. He mentioned it in brief last night, but it's like, if I was president, it would have happened, but it did. And here we are. And okay, now what? Yeah. it's just I don't know. It's really hard to pin down why that's happening.
What would be your best guess on the Iran thing? What's your best guess? Understanding you're spitballing. It's a hypothesis at best. It's like, what's your best guess? Because I don't get it at all.
Well, my best guess is I
have a theory, but it's not a very good one. So
the only thing that I can think of is that they need to take out a leg of malign influence in the Middle East so that Russia and China don't have a strong proxy in the Middle East. That's the only thing that I can think of, because Iran is the big malign player that is aligned with Russia and China in the Middle East. So the only logical thing I can think of is that there's information that indicates that there will be more danger to U.S. and U.S. interests throughout that entire region through Russia and China, because it's not going to be from Iran if Iran is still there, and therefore we basically want that as a base. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is it's because Israel wants us to.
Yeah, it could be, but they're not much of a threat to Israel at this point.
I'm not saying it's legitimate. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it. Again, we go back to who makes money, who gets what they want, right?
Yep.
Well, APAC is a pretty strong, powerful force in DC,
But would they
and
make any money if Iran is gone? Is there what would be where's the money aspect of it? I'm not I don't know where that would be. I mean, maybe there is. I just don't know what it would be.
yeah, I think I don't know 100% either. I mean, you know, Adnan Khashoggi was one of the wealthiest people in the world as just an arms dealer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there
That
you
was his
go. Yep.
job.
Yep.
He had one job, and that was it.
Yep.
Uh, Somewhere there's money to be made in those transactions. I don't understand it.
Sure.
I don't think it's just U.S. dollars going to Lockheed Martin and Boeing. I think there's more to it. I don't understand it, but
Yeah.
um, it 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 does feel like there was that conspiracy theory back in the early 2000s, late 90s, maybe around '05. I don't know, somewhere in there, that Israel kind of had this list of countries. Like there was
Yeah.
like 7 countries. They're like, hey, we need to go through this list and like take them all out. And Iran's the only one left
Yeah. Yeah.
on that list.
Anybody's guess is as good as mine because I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for me to pin down. The only thing, I mean, I like to think that there's a serious reason that is a geopolitically, in the interest of the United States. I'd like to think there's something like that, and that's where my previous theory comes in. But again, I have no evidence of that. The problem is usually with these international things. Usually, you can point to 4 or 5 different kind of vectors that indicate a certain direction that things are going. You could say that it was predictable that Ukraine would happen the way it happened because of 4 or 5 different vectors. You could predict
For sure.
the things that were happening in the Georgian states, in the Caucasus Mountains regions. You could predict some of those things back, about 15 years. So there's a lot of things that you could predict with those things. I'm not seeing where all of that comes together with any theory right now. In the Middle East, and that's the difficult part.
It certainly, again, I'm now cynical and jaded and biased, but it certainly smells to me much like there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Yeah,
It just has the same vibe and feel to
sure.
me. It just like the information is limited at best.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's true.
So something else that happened over the last couple of weeks, El Mincho was taken out.
Ah, yes.
So I'm dying to know why now? Like that's my only question on this. Like I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, sure.
But we've been fighting these guys for who knows how many years, and we've been reluctant to do this. Like, why now? Do you have any idea on that?
Well, I think this is more directly Trump than anything else because Trump's sphere of influence kind of doctrine, if you will. The what do they call it? There was the Monroe Doctrine. It was the Trump Rowe Doctrine or whatever it was called. What do they call that? Don Rowe, that's was it. The Don Rowe Doctrine. The Don Rowe Doctrine would be supported by that because El Mencho and the Jalisco cartel, all of that was a very, very powerful player. Huge, still is a very, very powerful player. And so, in terms of resisting the Don Rowe Doctrine, taking him out really fits well into that because he did control such a huge portion of what's happening in Mexico. And I would believe that probably underneath the surface, the Trump administration probably gave Sheinbaum some period of time to say, hey, look, you need to clean up this area here because, by the way, we went into Venezuela. We're sitting on Cuba's front door. You remember Manuel Noriega? I mean, there's history there that
makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense. I could see them coming into office a year ago and saying, "You got a year."
Yeah,
and the year, we hit 51 weeks last week, whenever, and then being like, we gave you plenty of time, and you're not able or willing, and we're doing it. Yep. That would make sense. I would be able to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, to me, that one is probably the most logical of all the ones that we can see currently. Now, I mean, it's interesting that basically the Jaliscos have weapons of war. I mean, we're not just talking gangs. I mean, they're rocket launchers, and
have you seen those armored vehicles they have?
Yeah,
with like camouflage paint and stuff. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking your average pot dealer.
Not Cheech and Chong, man.
Oh no, we're talking some serious firepower and some serious military equipment.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that part is a little bit surprising. I mean, we've heard about their capabilities for a while, but I didn't really realize it was that significant,
Right. Right.
especially in places
Again,
like
I'm
Puerto
I'm glad
Vallarta.
they did it. I
Oh
just don't
yeah,
understand the timing of it. It feels random and arbitrary, and in light of, well, now there's UFOs, and in light of these other things, they're just kind of like popping up, and it all feels deflectory to me. It
well,
all feels like
yes,
we're just deflecting, like, and the only thing I can think of that they're deflecting from, well, actually, there's a couple things. One is they can cite all the government put out numbers they want about how great the economy is. We had the largest revision in however many years, or
right,
maybe ever, downward revision on how many jobs were created last year.
right,
And even if you believe the numbers the government's putting out on the inflation, so even if you believe that crap, which I don't,
yeah,
um, it's taking it's picking and choosing very specific parts of the economy to look at to highlight how great things are.
yes,
I saw something that we've hit an all-time record, the number of adults in the US working two full-time jobs as a
yeah,
percentage, not as a number,
yeah,
percentage.
yeah,
I mean, so they got that. And then of course the big thing is the Epstein stuff,
yep,
where they come out and say, hey, there's these 3 million files. We're just never gonna, which is a blatant violation of the law that they just signed like
right,
6 weeks
right,
ago or 4 weeks ago or something like that.
right.
And from the administration, that their entire mantra from 2015 to now has been drain the swamp.
Yeah,
This is the swamp. Like, this
the
is
literal swamp.
and
Yeah.
it's the mechanism for draining the swamp, and we're not going to do it, which of course makes you ask why. And then all these deflectory kind of things are happening,
It's all
Iran and the
UFOs. It's
aliens, and
UFOs. It's UFOs. It's got to be UFOs. That's the only thing that can be big enough for all this is UFOs. And it turns out that Epstein's not dead. He was a space alien, and he's actually in orbit right now. So there you go.
space alien that moved to Israel, apparently, based on
Yeah.
the AI generated photos that came out
I,
last
I,
week.
yes, yeah. I think that's probably. I think we're on to something here. I think that's it. I think Epstein is a space alien, and he's
Yeah.
got the Jewish space
Now,
lasers.
on that note, the UK is not treating Epstein like a space alien. They arrested, was it Mandelson's his name?
Yeah, the
And former
ambassador,
Prince Andrew.
former Prince Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and there's discussion.
And the head of like one of this, I don't know if it's Norway or one of those countries, a former prime minister
Yep.
has been arrested. Other countries are taking this seriously. We're Trump's messages. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Help me understand, Dave. Like, I'm relying on you here. Like, what in the world is this about? Unless it's just the things that are there are so bad, it would literally be the end of governments and things
Well,
like that.
yeah, I don't know what that's the only thing it really could be. I mean, and see, the thing is, with millions of documents that get released these days, you just stick them all into AI and you're going to have everything you want. You'll have all the
Yeah.
answers from those. So therefore, if that is the case, even with the millions of documents that have been released, the smoking gun ones have not been released because whatever has been released has been digested, and we've told AI, look for this, and it's looked for it, and we haven't seen it in the news. So therefore, it's not in those millions of documents. I mean, nobody's sitting through them and thinking, okay, I'm going to read page 4,322 now, Marge. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in the 21st century. So whatever's not there. So I think the idea is just pump as much stuff out there as you can. Hope everybody just gets tired of it and goes away, and they never really find out what's really happening, because that's what else could it be? I mean, what else at this point? What else could it be? What else could it be? I don't know.
I was thinking about this last night. There's what they say. There's 6 million files. Maybe it's only 1 million files. They said they're not going to release. I don't know. There's some number of
Yeah.
files they said they're not going to release. And I don't know if you've seen the chart. There's a chart going around that AI is like digested stuff, like you're
Sure.
saying. And it shows the years that the files have come out for. It's like a bar chart, right? So you have like 1995, and the bar is like this high, and then 1996 is slightly bigger, 97 slightly bigger, 98
Yeah.
slightly bigger, 99 it's down to nearly zero, 2000 nearly zero, 2001 nearly zero, 2002 Bars way high again.
Okay, that makes sense.
2003, bar way high again.
Yep. Well, that makes okay. Then that makes perfect sense to me, because that's exactly what it is. There's a bunch of stuff that no, it doesn't exist. There just didn't happen to be any of those couple of years. Yeah, if you believe that, well, I got a bridge.
So 99, 2000, 2001, couple pretty big events happened, 9/11 being one of them, obviously,
Yep.
but also the dot-com bust.
Yep.
And let's not forget, somebody shorted the airline stocks before 9/11 happened,
Right.
and millions and billions of dollars were made, and certain people didn't go to the office that day just
Yep.
out of happenstance, who'd never ever taken their kids to school before.
Yep.
That day is the day that they was the first. Like it's almost like we know, but the proof would just be the end of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hadn't seen that, but what you say, that to me kind of ties it all up. It does make perfect sense that it is those things that happened in that period of time. And, yeah, so it's gotta be.
So aside from that, even the timing of all those things, the files being selected not to be shared based on the year, apparently, and whatever was going on at that time. But also I was thinking, okay, the stuff we've seen literally talks about cannibalism. It literally talks about burying people alive. It talks about all kinds of horrible sexual acts with kids and like women and like all the worst things you can imagine.
Yeah.
What in the hell could be in the things that they don't want to show us, Dave? Like, how could what could, like, honestly, like, what could be worse?
Yeah. I mean, well, the only thing that can be worse is it's still going on.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, the only thing that could be worse is that whatever is there is institutionalized and is still happening. And now there's knocks on my door, right? Oh no, hopefully not.
Yeah, but okay. So war is a time-tested, tried and true method for distraction.
Like the dog.
Hey, we got the guy in Mexico. That's a great distraction. The Dow's at 50,000. There's a great distraction.
Yeah.
The frogs are a great distraction. Like
the frogs. I still don't get the frogs.
It's not the State of the Union show anymore. It's the political show. Like every day is a show now. Like, every day is a distraction from whatever is going on. And again, 10 years ago, if I would have heard a guy like me talking right now, I'd be like, okay, where's your tinfoil hat?
Yeah, your conspiracy nut, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But come on, this stuff is just too much.
Yeah, no, it's over the top, and I just suspect. I mean, the question is who are the players that we don't know? I mean, so see, here I am. I'm the anti-conspiracy guy, and but who are the players that we don't know? Because those are the ones that are protected at all costs. It seems like.
Well, when you want to deceive somebody, you don't hide it. You put out there in plain sight. But you slightly alter it so that So I don't know if the players are people we don't know. I suspect that they are people we do know. And one of the things that's come up with, like the alien, the Project Blue Book and stuff like that, right? The early things about like the actual official government programs.
Yeah,
they were looking into these sightings and stuff like that. Well. Right. It's been revealed now that their actual strategy was to put out similar false information to debunk the truth.
Yes,
along with putting out things that actually debunk the truth. So they would put out this that's where the term misinformation came from. Was they would put out things that were absolutely not true, along with the truth, and then highlight the things that were not true to dismiss the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what? Have we seen things like that over the last 25 years? I'm guessing so. Could I pinpoint them? No, I wouldn't. I'm not the guy who knows what the truth is and what the truth is not. But if that's their modality for that, why would it be different from anything else? If that's what works, then do it, right?
Well, it does. I mean, and that's psychologically, it does work. I mean, that's, if you look at the stuff we do know about, propaganda in World War II, propaganda during the Soviet times, any propaganda you look at, that's a tried and true tested formula because it's based on human psychology. This is how human beings actually work. So I think there's no question that that's a tried and true, time tested methodology for hiding those things that you don't want to be seen. And it's also true that whoever brings something up first is the one that basically owns it. So if there's a mistruth or a falsehood, if you bring it up and then somebody else brings it up later, well, no, I already talked about that. I talked about that last week, and it was this and this and this. Well, you're under, the right of first mention is the right of ownership. And so
Yeah.
therefore it doesn't get considered, doesn't get investigated.
Meanwhile, average folks like us are arguing about the price of eggs and which gender should be playing sports.
Yeah.
It's you couldn't script it any better. It's
Yeah.
the craziest thing
It's the
that
Truman
like
Show.
because we don't want to be bothered as citizens. We elect people to go take care of things. We don't want to be hassled. We don't want to be bothered. We want to live our lives and not have to worry about things. We
Yep.
empower these people with things. We trust that they have our interests at heart. They don't, and we haven't hit the point yet where they're rubbing us the wrong way enough, I guess, or they're not extracting enough of our money or whatever. I don't know. It's really, really, it would be fascinating to watch if it didn't suck so much.
Exactly. Well, it'd be nice to be able to fast forward, say, 15 years. I think in 15 years we'll be able to kind of maybe get a sense of how it wraps up.
Yeah. Are you gonna choose the T1 or the T2 model for your Skynet home service servant?
Well, whichever one has the biggest laser, the one that can protect my home against the rest
The
of them.
lasers are the key.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, chaotic podcast this episode, but we've been gone for a couple weeks, and there's just all these things are so random and
Weird.
and it's just really weird. Yeah.
It is.
Interesting times. Well, like Dave said in the beginning, if there's things we said that you think are especially on point or especially wrong, we'd love to hear about it. We're trying to explain to future generations what this moment in time was like to live through. You can hit us up at unsilentpodcast.com. Rumble has a great comment section. Until next week, this is Dave and Brian signing off.
See you next week.
Do you want to be unsilent? Make your voice heard on our social media channels and share where you think we got it right or wrong. Go to unsilentpodcast.com for social links so you can join the discussion.